Software engineering is a career that is touted as having high-flying salaries and envious perks. But what really happens behind the closed doors of software engineering? Is it really all that it's made out to be? And are there dark sides that make the software engineering career, well, not as glamorous as it may seem on the outside? I am going to talk about 5 things that you should keep in mind when you're thinking about switching into software engineering or starting a career in software engineering. Number 1, the pomp and flair that comes with a tech office is all intended to make you stay at these tech offices for as long as they possibly can. We've all seen the fancy campus tours, the bikes that take you from one end of the campus to another, the shuttles that bring you from your home to the campus if you're living nearby, the unlimited free food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the rec rooms that give you those much needed breaks from your 12-hour coding sprints. It's all designed to make you want to stay at the office for as long as they possibly can make you stay. As a software engineer, typically you are an exempt employee, and what that means is you get a salary that's broken up into bi-weekly paychecks, but you don't really need to clock in your hours. But what you don't realize is that by staying in the office for extended periods of time, you're only building relationships with your coworkers, which isn't a bad thing, but you're missing out on developing relationships with friends from other sectors or even with family members. It's kind of like binge watching Netflix documentaries. You think you're getting smarter and you're probably learning a lot, but you're also missing out on a lot of other aspects in life, such as going outdoors and playing sports, developing your other relationships, etc. Number 2, being an exempt employee isn't all that it's cut out to be. Now, we may think that just because we don't punch in our hours every day as we sign into work and then punch out as we clock out of work, it means we can essentially put in 4-hour days or 20-hour work weeks as long as we're getting our work done. And that is true for some positions in software engineering, but the other side, or the darker side of that reality, is that your work conditions may demand that you have to be available and present at whatever hour around the day in the 24-hour cycle to fix a problem that has emerged. And while we as humans tend to think of our work lives as starting at 9 a.m. and ending off at 5 p.m. and then essentially going about to live our personal lives, the life cycle of the applications that software engineers build is 24/7. We don't stop using YouTube or TikTok just because we've signed out from work. And a lot of these live applications that software engineers build are very mission critical. For example, Amazon Web Services is a cloud infrastructure that tons and tons of companies rely on for conducting all of their businesses. There can virtually be no downtime with this product. So a lot of teams at Amazon have this system called on-call, where whenever a software engineer is put on call, they have to be present 24/7, no matter what hour of the night it is, if the product breaks down. And this is 100% legal. There is nothing stopping a company from requiring you to wake up at 4 a.m. to put in a coding fix. Number 3, stock-based compensations can be an emotional roller coaster. Granted, you can make really high base salaries in tech, but most of the compensation, particularly for top tech companies, tend to be more heavier in the stock-based awards. And unfortunately, when you're spending obscene amounts of time doing your work as a software engineer, a lot of your self-worth gets tied to the total compensation that your job is providing to you. And it's really disheartening to see the stock award drop in value between the time that they were awarded to you to the time that they vest, as can happen during market downturns. Number 4, you are utterly and completely replaceable as a software engineer. At the end of the day, you as a software engineer are a mercenary with a particular skill set and years of experience on your resume to prove that you are proficient in that skill set. There are several other people with that skill set, in fact, hundreds of other people, hundreds of thousands of other people with the exact same skill set, so you at any point are very replaceable. For this reason, software engineering teams can be very strict and cutthroat in terms of assessing the performance of its team members at the end of each performance cycle. And particularly for companies that have very high performance bars, you can almost feel like your manager is breathing down your neck, or you can feel paranoid at all times and very stressed when you feel that you haven't been performing well or up to the mark in any particular quarter. And number 5, the human aspect of interactions that you expect in a typical job is sometimes lost when your work is very desk-oriented and on a computer. Because look, the very thing that makes software engineering a job that you can very nicely tuck away to home offices and do completely remotely is the very element that is depriving the software engineering roles of human interactions. You simply don't need to be present with one another in order to get your work done as a software engineer. And even when you're present and getting your work done in an office, you are probably wired in and in your own bubble as you're trying to get as much work done during your workday as possible. I remember that when I used to work as a medical device engineer, even as I was fully clothed and dressed up in clean room attire and conducting my experiments, throughout the entire time, I would talk to my colleagues, we would make jokes, and we would exchange stories about our weekends and about our vacations. And that was sort of the snapshot of how every day would look like when I came to work. But there is rarely as much room to make personal conversation in a high-pressure environment where you can get the most amount of work done if you have your heads down and your headphones on. And that's all, folks. I hope that makes you think deeply about some of the negative aspects that comes with a very glamorized career in software engineering. I will see you in the next video.